6, that is. Black screen.
We're going home now?
Oh my God, look at him in the jungle. 1969, a little Hendrix playing in the background, and bam! You're transported back in time with Ryan Gosling.
Not necessarily going home.
Yeah, oh, that is beautiful.
And you feel instantly connected to the world.
The Stan Speary Show. I don't know what it is. I got him on every morning. On Rock 1069. 9 a.m. this morning, I'm going to rock the bank with you. We'll get that first $1,000 keyword passed out. Those presented by Beavers Marine. A little unseasonably warm in February, right? It's already starting to feel like boat season a little. Check those in store.com. And I'll rock the bank with you about it. Also, we are going to have to talk about the Super Bowl one more time. Super Bowl or moon landing, which is big. We'll get there coming up at 9 o'clock. Those are some interesting news. I had been talking about Sylvester Stallone. Hollywood, we've noticed over the last, it's been a long time, it's been a little reboot crazy. For me, I keep seeing The Roadhouse, because it's like one of the newer movies that I know is coming out on Amazon. Which I would have thought would have been a theatrical release. I know it's like, you know, the movie industry's kind of gone through a little bit of a change. Some go to the theater, some don't. You know, and some of that, some are in the theater 2 weeks and then you can watch it at home. I've had my thumb on Buy Napoleon on Apple TV for like 2 weeks. But I'm like, it's going to stream in like another week. I might as well just wait at this. Don't spend the $25. I'm already paying for Apple TV. It's probably coming. Or whatever the hell that would be.
But they're putting there.
I forget the name, title of that movie. But that came to Apple pretty quick. And so I'm assuming that Napoleon will head to a streamer pretty fast, right? But I was kind of surprised when I saw Roadhouse. It's like, man, Conor McGregor, not that you think about him as like, I got to go watch that guy act. But, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. There's power there. It's not like the White Man Can't Jump reboot where it was like, who? And who? Like, it's not like that. It's like there's some star power in the Roadhouse remake. I was surprised we didn't go theatrical release there, but apparently it's going to be Amazon Prime. That's fine.
Beautiful, sweetheart.
That's fine. But I was talking about that because apparently Sylvester Stallone allegedly has said he would like to redo the Rambo.
Millersburg.
I got to be honest with you. Aren't you going with one of your heavy hitters like Stopper My Mom was? Perfect. And I mean perfect for a Stallone movie remake. But I don't think Rambo is it. I actually think this is it. Little guy, overlooked, hometown hero, needs a little bit of a shot to get lucky. I mean, it's kind of how we all feel right now, right? Everybody I know feels like an underdog. And you could tap into that right now. Now, the only reason I think you don't do that is because people love Rambo. But they love Rocky. It's a whole nother ballgame. It feels a little sacrilegious almost. But if you were going to do it, I'd almost rather have it happen when Sly's still alive. Because what I don't want to hear is after he's dead and they get some guy that he would have loved and he's playing the role of Rocky, everybody telling me how Sly's rolling over in his grave over the fact that he did it. I actually think Rocky right now, for the mentality of this country, how people feel left behind, don't have the opportunity to capitalize. If you give them that little thing of hope, your shot's coming. It's coming down the road. Rocky can do it, and so can you, man. I feel like that's the franchise that could take over. Now, they were already kind of did this with the Creed movies, right? They kind of tapped back into that intellectual property to do theirs. Now, I saw the first Creed movie, and I was like, oh, God, this kid's good. Yeah. Michael B. Jordan, right? Is him? I was like, oh, God, this guy's really good. And he is. Michael B. Jordan, in most things I've ever seen him in, has been very, very good.
You know, like other people in that meeting,
so
the customers.
And then I saw the second one. I was like, all right, well, the first one made $1 billion.
I didn't look their face with heart. I just looking like.
I didn't necessarily feel like it kept on par with the first one. Because and then the third Creed, you'll have to excuse me here. I have not seen. I've been
long time in Dubai.
I have not seen.
And I'm not.
But
I
like
cannot.
The Rocky movies, I mean, 2 was fantastic. I liked 3 as a kid.
You're supposed to look
you know,
I'm not looking the face. horse and
very
anything.
cheesy stuff. In
That's why
Welcome to that
for
decade.
men, for women,
but,
okay,
like, it's
but
still
for
pretty good,
men,
right?
it's,
now you
I
get
cannot.
to 5
It's
and
considered
all
flirting.
of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Balboa and
So, like,
now,
that's why it
being
didn't-
touched there, right?
What's
So
this
maybe
here?
they have just wringed
This is
too much entertainment out of that property. But that's the one that feels
Where did
like,
it go?
I just feel like most people I know right now feel like Rocky before Apollo was on the phone, offering him the phone. I think people will be more open-armed, as I'm going to give you Creed tickets today, open-armed, I think people would be more open-armed for Rambo, but I think Rocky would actually hit
you were
home
saying.
much more.
You were
9
saying.
o'clock, I am going to rock the bank with you with that first $1,000 keyword, but
Okay.
now, let's get you into, what the hell is this? I don't even remember.
Like,
what the promotion is. Oh yeah,
I want to
Lamb of
make
God
a
and
church
Mastodon. I
with
have tickets for
printed
those. I feel like the mentality of the country is I kind of need a little bit of a lucky break here. Somebody just give me my shot. I'm ready to capitalize. Just give me the opportunity. It feels like that. In certain stretches of my life lying about it, there have definitely been times where I was single. I was like, no, this is exactly where I should be. This is exactly what I should be doing. Look at this. I got things going in the right direction. But if you're with somebody and you're happy, I love you. If you're not and you're just kind of okay being on your abandoned. But one of the things about entering into a relationship we all know is kind of true is there's certain things you don't do in front of that person until you're ready. Like I have always said, these dudes now,
Kevin?
will give you
I
just
think they're
swipe right.
recognize.
And but like my rule was when I got to the restaurant, like I would not eat. Eat something that's going to require.
This is nice place.
63% of people said that they would
like the
avoid
dollhouse.
going number two. I hate the way I have to have some of these conversations, but apparently they will not do that. People are saying, dude,
Cuckoo clock.
isn't that interesting? Because it
That was
is. It's
back
one
the
of those
other
things
way.
where everybody's like kind of embarrassed by it, and it's like, well, you meet the one
was
person
back
that
in
doesn't have to
Sugar
take a
Creek.
dump, and then I'll understand it. But like everybody has to. Even dude, Taylor Swift has bad things come out of her ass, Bo. Like that happens. Like even Taylor, like she does that.
This
She
comes
does it.
out,
Like, that happens. They surveyed about 5,000 people. And you've thought to yourself, and I hate this word more than most words. Reality, like that's kind of what cutscenes are like that. Kind of apologizing for the everyday run-of-the-mill life stuff that you know the character has to go through. That's kind of what this is like. Like we kind of want to fast forward to go to the bathroom around
Like, I
other
cannot
people
play.
if it's an actual emergency. Otherwise, they wait till later. I'm a little bit of a wait till later guy, if possible. I'm that guy that if I'm in the bathroom and I happen to be doing this activity and you walk into the bathroom, I will not finish and walk out of there until after you're gone. I don't know why, but it's like, they won't know it's me, man. Right? And like there's a little bit of that. When I was in high school, this became famous because of American Pie, S-Break, right? Like I was that guy. Once I got my driver's license, I was like, I'm going. Like I will be going home for this, right? And I'm just not big into that activity in public. 63% of us won't even think twice about skipping the bathroom if we're on a date or the significant other is in the vicinity. They say so much so that people are worried about this, that 46% of Americans would avoid eating any dairy products while on a date. Now, dairy affects other people differently and this and that. I don't ever really notice. It's like, man, that cheese, right? It probably happens to me. It's not one of those things I notice. 48% of people said they'd skip spicy foods to keep, the bubble guts away, right? Kind of keep that away. Yeah, have I sat at a restaurant and thought to myself, well, we got to be careful about what we're eating? Sure.
Hey, look,
absolutely.
$1
But the
General.
reverse is true, too. Like, I've been on a date and I realized midway through the date, I'm not having sex, so let's order more food. Because I don't have to worry about the food coming and looking at you like, sorry, I'm on the wrong side of 30, and I'd rather eat this food than have sex with you anyway, right? Like, I'd rather do that. And so, like, I have definitely done that.
Well, why there's no snow here?
Absolutely. I know people will tell you that relationships don't get good or comfortable until you can do this in front of one another. I got to be honest with you. I'm all right with my relationship never getting. Now, I tell you all the time, don't use my relationship as a way to measure yours. Do not do that. Like, let me just tell you, don't do that. But I'm okay if my relationship never gets there. Like, if you're in the shower and I have to step in there to go pee or something, okay, fine. But, like, if you're putting your makeup on and I'm just, like, dumping out and we're, like, doing that, it's like, come on, we're stuck in here together all day, every day. Can't we talk about how much we hate our bosses after you're done doing this? Like, and here's the difference. Most times when you urinate, it doesn't like, it's not like a stench. Like that doesn't happen, right? And I mean, maybe some of your dietary issues, okay, maybe this and that, if you're sick, kind of need to go to the doctor. Yes, the body has alarm clocks, it will tell you. But more often than not, urine doesn't like, oh my God. Where the other thing, I don't care how pleasant of a person you are. Something has fallen out the back end of you that's made other people want to crawl into a hole and die when they smelled it. Like, it's just kind of one of those things. I'm okay with the relationship never really getting to that point. I can wait this out. We're fine. I have obviously done the man thing a million times where I was at a woman's house and it's like, all right, I got to find a reason to get the hell out of here. Right? I got to go home. I want my mommy, right? There's a little bit of that kind of comes with this. As a matter of fact, we are all so nervous about this activity in front of or around other people that I once knew I wasn't in a relationship because of somebody taking a dump. I'll tell you that. We'll get to this and some more data about your anxiety next on the Stansbury Show.
He's a man of many talents, but he does not have the talent for keeping quiet.
That's a dump.
8:45, let's get you into Creed. That show's got 3 doors down on it, too. Pretty big show, man. Wolfgang Van Halen, Finger 11, that's pretty good. We'll get you into that around 8:45 this morning. I've been talking about poop-anxiety. Apparently, a lot of people have this.
This house is burning.
They made it mostly about being in relationships, where 63% of people said that they would avoid this activity.
This
If
is
and around a date, their better half even. I mean, it all depends on who you are. We all seem to carry a little embarrassment about an activity that we all have to do. I don't know if it makes us feel like we have weakness on some level. I don't know what that is, but there's a... Now, maybe it's just like, it's kind of gross, right? Like it is. It's kind of gross.
Is
so
she
maybe
still
not
living there?
necessarily,
As far as I know.
you know, something that we should do in front of everybody else. Although...
No idea.
2 girls, 1 cup. I mean, that stuff's out there, right? Some stuff is out there. People are into some weird things.
Jake isn't said anything about her moving or anything.
330-450-7625. Like Tim says here, actually, that he and his wife have done this in front of one another since they started dating, and they laugh about it all the time. Well, then you found the right person for you. You know what I mean?
Card,
And like
birthday
different
card.
strokes. It is part of life. It's not necessarily what I want. I'm okay with a little privacy in that moment. Now, if you're in the shower, I got to pee or something like that, or so you're doing your makeup, and like urination to me is different. I don't know what makes that different, but it is. There's something. Well, it's the stench is what makes it different. Now, maybe I'm telling on myself there, as I have been told plenty of times over my life that well, I can be unpleasant in this area, in this one area, right? This is the only place I'm unpleasant, but I've been told that. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just self-conscious about it. I'm not in love with that. I don't want my better half doing that. It's not that I don't understand that women do it. And I'm sure actually explaining this might actually get me in more trouble with some people than less. But like, it is because I view that part of her body as an extension of her sexuality. Which she's gonna get so mad. But like, I'm not even into like that activity with that body part. But I am attracted to like a nice ass. Like it's
just
like,
imagine,
kind of my thing,
darling
right?
was found
For me, it's
a
hair, eyes,
very expensive
smile,
thing from
ass.
the
Like,
ocean.
that's kind of where I'm at. And when
he
I met
didn't
her,
know.
she like checked
He
that box
burned it.
right down the list.
Oh, boy.
You know
I was
what
like,
is
oh,
this?
God.
They said it's the vomit
This
of
dude, this is
whale.
it, dude.
Oh,
It's all
yeah.
lined
That
up
is
in
really
the slot
expensive.
machine of
Yeah.
life. Like,
My goodness.
she's gonna run the
burned it?
show now.
Yeah,
brother.
because
She's
that
gonna
is
be in
natural
charge
hemp
of
oil that it
everything
can
now,
use
so
for.
it's on.
He's using
Right?
like
She
to make
kinda
it fire
checked those,
for
she
starting
checked
for the
those boxes
fire.
right up and down the list. And like, I like holding on to her butt.
That is really
Like, I
expensive.
can't help it. I'm like Linus with the blanket. We will literally just be walking through Target. She's like, why are you palming my
See,
entire
darling is
ass?
always like that. He
I don't
doesn't
know.
care for
I don't know
anything.
if it's
Even
a
like that,
flashback to when I was a
he's
kid
not
and flashlight
curious.
tag. If
He's
I
not
don't have
for
my
you.
hand on home base, I'm out. Like, I don't
See,
know.
when the
That's
time
what
that
I
he
don't know
found the
what it is.
whale,
But,
even
like,
that
I
are the.
cannot.
He's the one.
And so
But he
I
doesn't
like
want that
thinking
minute.
about
No.
that
See,
particular area.
instead that
as-
he's the first or become a famous.
Right? Like, I kind of,
No.
I like that. And I think the more I think about that activity,
My
watching her
goodness.
do that in the bathroom, the more I'm not going to necessarily love that. Now, she's urinated in front of me, you know, both at my house, her house, and yes, and plenty of parking garages, right? Like, all right, I tried to tell you to go before the show, right? I tried to tell you, and there's that. So I've seen that, so like that doesn't necessarily ruin it. But there's something about that I'm just not. I'm okay if we don't breach this area. I'm okay if some things are, you know, for you and some things are for me. I once upon a time found out I was not having sex because a woman was willing to do this in front of me. She didn't drag me into the bathroom. Back in the day, I had met this woman and I was enthralled. And I mean enthralled. She could do no wrong. She could walk on water.
What is in?
And we became friendly and we were kind of hanging out and it was, you know, we were together a lot.
Yeah,
so much so where people were like, is that a thing? Are they hanging out? Are they, what's going on with that?
Like,
and we were mostly friends or whatever, and like, but one night, she was like, meet me at my apartment.
Like, mostly like retired person.
I went there and met her, and you know, she buzzed me in. I go upstairs or whatever.
It's nice, like, you will be mistakenly,
we were going out for
just only by number, they will. If you will forgot your number.
I think it was to go see the bathroom with you of all things.
Yeah, number of your house.
And so she lets me into the apartment. She goes,
for sale.
Hold on a second. I just gotta, I gotta take care of something before we go. And I realized when she went into the bathroom that she had been in there. She was already ready. She came out in the living room. She looked great because that was like her whole thing. She never not looked amazing. And so, and that's why I was chasing her ass, right? It wasn't because I thought she was a killer person. It's like, God damn it, bro, look at her. It was kind of one of those, right? And so I realized when she went back into the bathroom, she was in there forever. She actually came out and she made a joke about it. And my heart sunk into my stomach because I knew it's over. Like, this isn't happening. Because if it were, she would be protecting this side of herself. She would not have just walked in there and done this just to do it.
She said
like she would have found. She would have. First of all, she would have told you not to meet her at her apartment until much later. There would have been steps.
It's really good for
because nobody thinks to themselves, "All right, I'm gonna have sex with this person at the end of the night, so let's dirty up my ass a little before we head out." Like that doesn't happen, right? Like that's not going to be a thing. And I'll never forget. It was that. It really bummed me out. That whole night, I was just like, I wanna go home. Like I just was so unhappy about it. And I was right. Like we ended up having the conversation. It was like about 3-4 days later. And she was kind of like, she's like, you know, it was kind of one of those things. I kind of realized we weren't going to go down this road together. And so I was like, well, what's the difference? He's my friend. What's the difference? Now you fast forward a few years and we ended up circling back together. We did get together a little bit. And it was not meant to be. Like it wasn't. We were oil and water, and we could not get it even remotely close on track. We were just opposites, and like sometimes they attract, sometimes they don't. That was one of those. We're attracted to one another, but we do not work at all. But I remember that night, and I remember thinking to myself, God, you had all the hope. You had like Obama-type hope, bro, on the way here. And then when she walked out of that bathroom, and you just knew, I was like, back to square one, buddy.
Stansbury Show on Rock 106.9.
Give me an hour, and I'm going to get you into Creed. The show's got 3 Doors Down, Mammoth WVH, and Figure 11 on it. I'll have tickets for you all this week. Give me an hour, and I'll get you in. It is Valentine's Day, and a lot of people are going to head out tonight to celebrate. And, you know, people will look at this a couple of different ways. It's sad that we need a holiday to remind us that we're in love. And I used to be one of those people who kind of like to point that out. But in reality, reminders are part of life. You know? Now, I think the longer you get into your relationship, the less this becomes a big deal. And it does kind of feel like a lot of people are taking a makeup exam. Like, all right, I've been bad about my relationship all year, but these flowers, this candy, this is really going to knock it out of the park. And a lot of people will use it kind of that way. I think it's all right to celebrate the fact that you found somebody and that makes you happy. we were talking about happiness a little bit yesterday. Because people are really on Taylor and Travis about theirs. People think it's fake or manufactured or whatever. And I don't. I think they're a real couple. I guess I could be foolish there. And if I'm wrong about that of all things, I'll live. Right? Like, I'll be fine. But I said there's a quote I loved from a show. It's on Netflix. It's called Afterlife. Written and directed by Ricky Gervais.
This is the Park Billy.
And the whole thing is his wife died. And he becomes hardened, and he can't enjoy anything after she had lost her life. Long story short, he meets somebody, and it's not like a potential love interest. It is an older woman who is kind of going through the same thing as he is, and she said that happiness is amazing. So amazing, it doesn't matter if it's yours or not. That you can find joy in happiness, if you're the kind of person who can find joy in stuff, right? There's a little bit of truth there. So a lot of people will head out tonight, hit the restaurants, kind of do that thing, and I can understand it. Our plan is to be a little bit more understated, as I have to wake up pretty early. We'll probably celebrate more of this a little bit into the weekend. I obviously sent the dates, but a lot of people are going to head out tonight. You might want to be a little careful about how you're going to get home. Apparently, Uber and Lyft drivers are staging a national protest on Valentine's Day. Apparently this is about how much money they are being paid, right? Otherwise, why would they be protesting anything? But they're sick and tired of, wait for it, the company taking all of the money and only giving them a portion of it. For which I would say that's true of everybody's job. I mention this all the time, and I'm not complaining. I do very well. But, I mean, God, the millions of dollars I have put in their hands. Like, one day I did. I pulled out the calculator. Because I had kept an endorsement on the air for 6 years. And I knew what they were paying. And so I was like, I calculated it out, and I was like, oh my God, I am the best goddamn bargain in all of FM radio. This is insane. Like, dude, I didn't even get a quarter of this money. And it made me furious, and I had to stop running numbers. But like, this is true of everybody's job. But apparently Uber and Lyft now are planning day-long strikes. Chicago, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Miami, Cleveland, Tampa, Hartford, Newark, New Jersey, Austin, Texas, Providence, all over the place. And they think that this is going to be the thing that is going to end up getting them some movement. It may, I don't believe so. At the end of the day, first, I don't see am I wrong here? I mean, I understand wine is probably a part of like a romantic dinner. It's not, I don't drink wine. I'm not a big wine guy. She is. But like, it's not necessarily the first thing that pops into my mind. And honestly, I may get 1 or 2 drinks if we go to dinner. I'm not looking to drink with food. That's just not my thing. I've just become less of a drinker as the years have gone on anyway. But I don't really view Valentine's Day as like that let's get hammered holiday. You want to stage a walkout and you want to affect this, and you're looking for people to be screwed to the point to where the consumers then start complaining for you, like what happened with fast food. Which, by the way, now everybody complaining about how much the fast food is. I know. You would gladly pay more, right? I mean, you would just gladly pay more. Collect those free red hearts. Get those free likes. But now that you're paying more, everybody hates it, right? If I'm an Uber or Lyft driver and we're organizing a boycott and we're looking to get attention on it, don't do it on the romantic holiday. You think people want to sit around in a parking lot and wait for you to pick them up? The guy, as soon as the food gets delivered to the table, the guy's looking at the server like, check, let's go. I want to get out of here. Dude, one day a year I get oral sex, bro. Can you please box up her food? I need to get out of here now. You think dudes want to be sitting around in the parking lot waiting on that? They don't.
But mostly they're living
here. They
here.
don't be waiting around on the rideshare driver. They're going to drive tonight. If you want to stage a walkout and you want people to win you over, if you want to win people over on your side, you do what St. Patrick's Day, you dopes. That's the day everybody's out and needs a ride. By the way, it's when they're all out and need a ride in the middle of the day. Like, that's the day. Just wait. You're literally a month away from it. That is the day. That's when you can capitalize, because I'm willing to bet most people listening to me, now this is not going to be true in New York, Chicago, LA, maybe Vegas, some other places, but most people listening in the Canton area, Cleveland too, you view Uber and Lyft as something you use when you want to have drinks. You don't think about using it just because. It's an extra expense. So unless you're looking to avoid the DUI, most people here in this area are using that when they're thinking about drinking. And I don't think Valentine's Day is that day at all. You needed to wait one more month and do it on St. Patrick's Day. Now, I guess what they could be doing is they might be doing it on both.
Live from the Hall of Fame City, and just as bad as NFL officiating, the Stansberry Show.
The house here is nice and hard, right?
Some of them.
9 a.m. I'm going to rock the bank with you. We'll get that first $1,000 keyword passed out. Those presented by Beavers Marine. Online at beaversmarinestore.com. With it being as warm as it's been in February, time to start thinking about boat season, maybe. beaversmarinestore.com. All right, we had been talking about Valentine's Day a little bit, that being today, and I've said multiple times this morning, all I can hope for you is that you're happy. If you're happy alone, then God bless. Plenty of people are. If you're happy with somebody, then great. I think that's great. Right? I just find what kind of makes you happy, right? You only go around the ride one time. I think a lot of people lie to themselves about the fact that they're happy being alone, and it can be tricky, right? Because I, for a long time, was lying to myself about the fact that I was happy being alone. Now, what makes that tricky is there was definitely times in my life where I was alone and I was happy, right? It can kind of go back and forth there a little bit. But we had been talking about it because apparently it may be difficult for you to get home from dinner this evening. They tell me Lyft and Uber drivers are organizing a walkout for today. They're expecting today to be a heavy traffic day. Now, I have never driven for Lyft or Uber, and so those drivers would have a better understanding of what's a popular day for them than I would. But I was making the argument that I just don't see Valentine's Day as the drink too much holiday. Yes, a bottle of wine on the dinner table tonight is probably not out of bounds. I just don't think of people getting necessarily sloppy for this one. New Year's Eve, right around the corner, you have St. Patrick's Day. That's the one that kind of feels like, dude, if you want to cause a ruckus out there right now, if you really want to draw attention, and this is all about driver pay, right? They're all worried about the fact that they're not making as much money and the company's holding the lion's share. Your company's holding the lion's share of what you help them produce, and so does mine. That's literally how it works, right? We should all be being paid a little bit more money. Now, again, I have never driven Uber. I have never driven Lyft, so I have never had to worry about the split covering my bills. If I did, my guess is I would maybe see this a little differently. But I was making the argument, I don't know about Valentine's Day being the best day for this. Now, Chris is listening, sent me this message at my Facebook page, at Stansberry Show, and he happens to be a rideshare driver. He says, I'm kind of with you on this one a little bit. Because unless it's Friday or Saturday night, most of my rides are taking people to work or back and picking them up for medical appointments and dropping them off. During day trips is kind of what he's saying.
Oil.
I was making it about people use it, to get
olive oil.
hammered, and that's really what I think the bulk of people are really in it for. A couple of drinks, I want to get home safe, and all of that. I have seen people obviously take it to, the doctor if people are having a hard time getting around and things like that. So Chris's point is, I'm going to make more money today. Because Uber and Lyft aren't shutting down. It's not like, hey, we're not doing this today to draw attention or help our drivers or, to raise awareness. The companies aren't shutting down. The drivers are doing it. Well, you're never going to get all of the drivers to do this. You're not like, there's not going to be a version of crossing the picket line of this. You know what I mean? If you work at a standard brick and mortar location of a place and there's a protest outside of it and people are carrying the signs of hell no, we won't go, or whatever the hell the new phrase is, and you cross that picket line to go back into work, that is, you're going to feel that pressure. Where I don't know if the sedan next to me is an Uber or Lyft driver or not, unless they got the little sign in the window. Some do, some don't. Now, if there's nobody sitting in the front seat and you're just, somebody sitting in the back, then I've got a pretty good idea of what's happening there. But like most people don't know car to car. Is that just somebody driving back and forth to the office, or is this, you know what I mean, or is this a rideshare person? So I think Chris is right. If you take yourself out of the worker pool today, it may take people longer to get a ride. But what's interesting, I don't feel like people blame Uber or Lyft for that. Like when people waited forever, it's like, all right, I guess it's just the way it is. Like we don't seem to take out our anger on those companies over the wait time. I'm not saying we should. I think these days, all of us, myself included, occasionally can get a little too guilty of calling out the person we're upset with, the company we're upset with, and what are we really doing there? In the hopes that their social media team sees it and gives us our free thing, gives us another ride for free, give you 25% off of this. But I don't think Valentine's Day is the right day to be taking like the day off to draw attention to the fact that you're not making enough money doing that. I'm not even arguing that you're not making enough money. I'm just saying I don't think this is the day where you're going to get everybody on your side. By the way, I think you may have missed the boat. Over like the last 18 months, 2 years, so much of the public has been like talking about how we got to raise their pay, 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 and we've done it. And now everything is 3 times more money. You can't flood the mailboxes with free cash. You can't do that. And then, you can't then, on top of flooding the mailboxes with free money, then raise everybody's pay and expect prices not to triple. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's insane. Like, everybody's looking around for the reason. Those are the reasons. Right there. I know they got you pinning the tail on the evil CEO donkey, but that ain't it. Like, it ain't. It's part of it, but it ain't the thing. Like, that's not really the reality, right? And so people have done this for the fast food workers. They did it for this worker over here. They did it for these workers over here. And I think they're starting to get a little worn out by it. I also think the forced tipping everywhere, like the grocery store doesn't do this very much, but there are places where you can like do self-checkout and they'll still ask you to tip. It's like, am I tipping this robot that just took my neighbor's job? Why am I tipping that? You're not paying it. That's why you have this thing here. It's because you don't have to pay it. You had to pay it once. You had to buy the machine once and then put it where it needed to be. The worker you have to pay year after year after year after year. That's why it works for them. Now we're pushing back against those and more places are ripping them out, especially over in the UK. It's not going great, the self-checkout. So we'll see what happens here. But I think support of you not making enough money, I don't think it's going to be there for you right now. I don't see it because people have seen the end result of what they were saying about other people's jobs. And they realize now they were talking a big game. Everybody lied about how much they'd be willing to do it until you have to do it. That becomes the other thing. It's much like turning money down. I talk about this all the time. People will tell me, oh, I would never do that for $5 million. You could show up at my house with $5 million. I would never do that. And to which I always say, oh, you can turn down the imaginary $5 million? Way to go, buddy.
Give Stansberry a piece of your mind. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and let him know just how wrong he is. It's just wrong. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
9 a.m. this morning, let's rock the bank together. I'll pass out that $1,000 keyword. Those presented by Beavers Marine. Find those guys online at beaversmarinestore.com. And score your $1,000 with me at 9 a.m.
My goodness.
All right. So, I've been lucky enough to do what I want to do for a living for a long time. And one of the reasons I'm able to do that is because of your tolerance of what I say and what I may think. One of the best compliments I get is, well, I don't even know if I agree with you even most times. But you are interesting, and you are at least fair to a subject, and you're willing to admit when you're wrong. And I love that because it flies in the face of what people always say. My show proves something is not true, that people cannot listen to what they disagree with and still enjoy it. Plenty of people who listen to me seem to find a way to do that. Now, I cannot be alone in that, right? Like, obviously, most shows this is going to be somewhat true. And it's tough, man, because like opinion and where it should go in broadcasting and this and that, like the news really has screwed up here a little bit. Because the news went from, God, I'd give anything to know what that person reading that teleprompter actually thinks about what this story is. I would give anything to kind of, I wonder what he really thinks. What does she actually think about what she's saying right now? So there's always that little bit of wonder. And then what I believe kind of happened is that they went, oh, you're interested in that? Cool. We're only going to give you that.
It's called Wood
We'll
Electric.
only give you what we think about it versus what's happened.
It's a local
And then
electrician.
echo chambers started to get built, right? And the divisive thing is, well, it can be profitable for people, you know? And some people were having a ton of success going to the far end of the earth one way or the other. And I've always said, well, I don't want to do that. Because my thing is that if I go down this path of where it's like, this is my team, I'm always with this team, I'm always with this, there's going to be something that happens that makes me look absolutely crazy for being immovable on a side. And I didn't want that. I've always said, I don't owe anybody fair. I don't. People will talk about that sometimes. I don't owe anybody fair. This is an opinion-based program. It is not a journalistic endeavor. I choose to give fair because I think it's what will benefit me most. And I think it's what benefits you most, which is why I try to do that. I don't always succeed at it, but I do try to do it that way. I'm bringing it up because a legend came back to television. I know I'll get snickered at for calling Jon Stewart a legend, but being in broadcasting, knowing the numbers he used to drive to TV, knowing the revenue he used to drive to a network that without him is a disaster and is being propped up on stilts without him. He's a legend. Now that sounds crazy, right? Because, well, I don't agree with Jon Stewart, so he can't be a legend, right? That's kind of where we are. At least some people are. So he came back to host the Daily Show. Now, not even every night. I think it's 3 nights a week. I think he's doing the Howard Stern thing. Which, honestly, if iHeartRadio would let me do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and call it a week, that's what I'd be doing too. So I can kind of understand it. And Comedy Central needed Jon Stewart more than Jon Stewart needed Comedy Central.
And they said,
it's not even close.
Yeah, they said. You know that they don't want to defend them because they're still young, right? That
So he came
some
back.
other would, well, you're too young.